All right, guys, welcome back to the Point Guardian. We're taping this in the UCSD Guardian office on campus.
It's quite exciting in here.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on.
Lots of old newspapers that. Well, actually, how far back does that go?
Just a year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot of. Do we take it from stacks that have been left
just on campus? Yeah.
Okay.
And then we just keep them for a year.
Huh. Okay.
I'm Marcus. I'm the managing editor.
I'm Richard Liu. I'm the sports editor.
I'm here with Alex. Richard and Miguel can't make it today, so we're gonna have a.
I mean, Richard could be back in the middle of the
conversation.
podcast.
Yeah, he said he'd be here in three hours, so I don't know if he's gonna make it.
My favorite part was when he was like, "Oh, I might be able to make it. I'm on Amtrak right now," and I was just thinking, "Oh, he's heading back from LA right
he's
now."
Heading to LA.
Oh, Richard, I love him.
5 minutes ago, he was like, "Oh, I'm at Union Station." And I was just like, "Okay." Okay, so we took a week break, partly because nobody was able to make the podcast last week, and also because it was the All-Star weekend, and it was a great time for us to do a break as well. So there hasn't been a lot of games going on this past week, but it's a good time as any to kind of project towards the second half of the season, discuss a little bit of college basketball, and kind of just go over what happened during All-Star weekend.
That'll be fun.
Yeah. Let's just start with All-Star weekend. Just get over this. Was the format better? I don't know. Did you watch it? Did you even watch it? You did not watch it.
I think I saw the last minute of it, and what Team LeBron won, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just I don't know. The thing with All-Star weekend with the event of Twitter, NBA Twitter, right? It's just do I really care about watching the dunk contest if I can see every dunk on Twitter 5 minutes later? Is it worth my time? I can just check in on my phone.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel. And the 3-point contest, Devin Booker got hot and won the title. And that's kind of cool. He's gonna go back to his shitty team and not do anything for the rest of the season.
Maybe he'll
Devin
score
Booker
70
might
again.
go up for 60 at some point in the season still, and nobody's gonna care because Phoenix is 18 and 30 something, and then the Rising Star game was pretty fun, just because I kind of like that format. It's USA versus World.
Yeah,
it's kind of fun because the players are actually young, and I feel like a lot of the NBA All-Stars are just kind of jaded at this point, where it's just some care, Russell Westbrook and stuff like that, and some just are there, just kind of because they've been chosen. One of those players was Jimmy Butler, who showed up and apparently told Mike D'Antoni that he did not want to play and wanted to rest, and he did not play a single second.
That's okay then.
Yeah, so a lot of people, and especially Lou Williams afterwards subtweeted him, was really, dude, because he wanted to be an All-Star, obviously. And I think what I saw was that he had he has a clause in his contract that if he participates in the All-Star game or something like that, he gets a bonus.
Lou Williams?
No, Jimmy Butler.
Oh, okay.
So that's why he didn't he didn't want to drop out, because he obviously didn't want to play.
Yeah.
And I'm a big Jimmy Butler defender. I love him. But that was kind of a shitty move.
Yeah.
I feel if he wasn't gonna play, I get that, Tibbs is basically running him into the ground as usual. But Lou Williams has never made an All-Star team, or maybe he's made one, but just let your spot to someone who actually wants to play.
Yeah.
If you're being selected and you're just staying on the sideline in warm-up uniforms, it's just weird.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, that is really weird.
Yeah, I kind of feel I don't know how I feel about that.
I guess so. I'm the kind of person who thinks that sometimes the All-Star game is a waste of time, but that is if someone wants to play in it, they should be playing in it, or if obviously if they're deserving, but yeah, that's kind of a shitty situation all around.
Well, it just feels some people really want it. You could feel there was a little bit of new blood, right? You had Joel Embiid, for example, made his first All-Star team, and he competed. He played defense, or at least a little bit.
Defense in quotes.
He did play defense compared to others, at least.
Yeah.
And you could see that he was just he was just like happy to be here, and you had Giannis, who was a little bit like intimidated, but at least he was like a new face. And then for Jimmy Butler, he's been there like 4 or 5 times, and he just like sits on the bench and like I don't know. It's just kind of like it's unfair. Like just give your spot up to whoever the next Western Conference like player was.
Yeah,
it was probably Lou Williams. I mean, but
yeah, I guess we did our All-Star snub feature a while back.
Yeah.
And I guess that was before everyone got injured. Yeah.
So the one thing that kind of came out of the weekend was also that next year the draft might be televised. That's what Adam Silver said. He had a press conference, but something else that he said was about the playoffs. Let's talk about that. So the idea that Adam Silver kind of floated, like nothing is sure, obviously, but he said that there might still be 8 teams from the East, 8 teams from the West, and that instead of being ranked 1 through 8 per conference, they would be ranked 1 through 16, and just have that way. In the situation, like Houston would be 1 and Golden State would be 2 right now, and they wouldn't be able to play each other until the finals.
Yeah.
So you could have a Houston Golden State finals instead of Houston or Golden State against like the Cavs or whatever.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I'm a little weird on it, because like I like the idea of it. You know, it's like. I feel like there have been a lot of like series lately where it's like, oh well, like the Western Conference finals are just going to be the finals this year, and then the finals are just going to be like that's no fun, I think. But there is something cool about like, oh, it's like East versus West, like in the finals, like duking it out, and I don't know if I could get over the idea of like, oh, say like. In some hypothetical world, like the Lakers had to play like the Clippers in the finals, like it's just like that sort of like, oh, like we're both from like the same city or it's like same area, and it's just a little weird. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, there's a lot of like, and you have to take that with a grain of salt because like any of those changes have to be approved by 20 owners.
Yeah. And
what a lot of people are saying is that getting the 15 East owners to agree to that is like the tricky part because obviously the East teams benefit from their conference being weaker, so they have like a better chance to advance in the playoffs if they make the playoffs. I kind of like don't care about conferences. I'm more of a division guy. I like, especially in the NBA right now, there's like it's nothing like the 90s where there was like division and conference like battles, really. Like you have a few rivalries. Washington is like picking fights with everybody, but no one really cares, you know. It's like Washington and Boston are picking fight, but like they're already in the same division, so it like that's fine. Usually Chicago and Indianapolis and Chicago and like Cleveland or go head to head and stuff like that, and then Golden State and like the Clippers, in recent years at least. Yeah. And you feel like those are division showdowns, and that conference don't really matter. So that's my first point. But if you keep the conference going, then it feels kind of weird because it feels like the 1 against 16, like assuming it's the best, it's probably going to be the best team in the West against the worst team in the East. It's going to be even more of a blowout than it is before because the West is just so much better. And maybe that will change in like in future years because, you know, like conference will like, depending on the players that get drafted, etc., it will like balance itself. But like at the same time, it just feels like the 8 against 9 or 7 against 10 matchups are going to be interesting. Yeah. But the 1 against 16, like who's going to care about that?
I mean, no one ever cares about 1 versus 8, right? Like,
I care.
Oh, I mean, what was the last like
Chicago against Philadelphia?
Oh, I mean,
when Derrick Rose busted his knee.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, the number 8 doesn't usually like win, and mostly, you know, when you have like Cleveland walking through the Eastern Conference, stuff like that, they get swept. That's a fair statement. I don't know.
So I guess I'm someone who never really thinks about like divisional rivalries in basketball, I guess.
Yeah, you have that more in football.
Yeah, that's
and
definitely
baseball a lot too.
I guess another thing that I like about the whole East versus West stuff is like, I like my Lakers Celtics rivalries that like are back in the day when those meetups in the finals were inevitable, and it was also against a team that like you didn't always see very often. Obviously they play twice a year, but like, do I want to see a team like play each other in the finals that say has already matched up 4 times like earlier in the year? Like, I don't know. It's depends on what you're looking for. But now that you mentioned like the owners having to approve it, I can't imagine.
That's the thing. I think that's why Adam Silver put forth the idea of not actually reshaping a conference or anything like that, just taking the 8 teams from each conference that make the playoffs so that everybody's still happy, and then reshaping that like seeding. I think that's like the middle ground of all middle grounds.
I thought it was just going to be like the top 16 teams.
It's not going to be like the number 9 seed in the West is still going to get screwed every year until the conferences balance each other out. But that's just how it's going to be. I don't really feel really strongly about it because just like hockey, basketball is already like the sport that has the most like teams in the playoffs. I'm the type of person that I live for regular seasons because I grew up watching rugby and soccer, and most, if not all, the leagues have just regular season champions. But that's just not a thing here, so that's fine, But like then you get to the playoffs, and it's just a whole like other complicated stuff going on, and obviously you have huge travel distances and stuff like that to deal with. I don't know. I feel like this is stuff to be able to do. One of the things, and I feel like that's like the perfect transition, but in like March Madness in college basketball, and you put like 16 or 8 teams in one location and just have them like play one-on-one, like one game, the winner advances. That's never gonna happen in the NBA, but that's a format that would like fit. Just put everyone in a neutral location, or stuff like that. Like there's plenty of stuff that you can do. None of it is gonna pass, but to make it more interesting, because the more and more you see 1 versus 8, it's just a blowout. It's a 4-0, 4-1 series, and nobody really cares until the conference semifinals, anyways. And the conference semifinals are the 4 best teams. Like most of the time, maybe a 5 seed, maybe a 6 seed, like just sneaks in, but most of the time it's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that's a big difference because in basketball more than half the teams go to the playoffs, and then you have a sport like football where just what is it, 2, 6, 12 out of the 32 teams get to the playoffs, and that's like a huge difference because like you get a boost from actually going to the playoffs. And so like people are just not going to want to change that, like especially from the Eastern teams.
I'd love to see a tournament in the NBA.
I would love that.
I think I told you this before. Like I'd love to see the All-Star Weekend be replaced by like a fucking tournament that just like every team goes in, and like that'd just be so fun. But
I saw an idea that floated that was just like having like a 3-3 or a 5-5 by division. I would fucking love that. Just having people that just kind of like don't get along just have to play together in a team. You have 6 divisions, 6 teams. You just do a round robin, like 3 against 3. Like half, like have them play like a half, right? Like just 2 quarters of 12 minutes. And then the best team goes to the final. Like and then they face each other. So it's like the West, like the South, whatever the division names are. But let's say the division with Golden State, the Clippers, and whatever, and then in the final they face Central, which is Chicago and Indianapolis and Cleveland, whatever. And like you have the 5 best players from all these teams together. I don't know, like something like that. That would be really cool.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah, that would not happen. But like you'd have LeBron play with like Lauri Markkanen, for example, something like that. Like it'd be nice,
Yeah.
Just take one player from each team and be like, and that way you wouldn't have to have like 4 Warriors in every All-Star team, and like it would make fun
Miguel.
because it would, but it's like, you know, you can make an argument that like some of these players that would be there don't deserve to be there. That's fair. But like I'd much rather see like Devin Booker in the All-Star game than Draymond Green.
Yeah.
Like I don't really care about that. And nothing against Draymond Green. It's just like, you know, you've seen him 4 years in a row. Like I'm done.
Yeah.
Just get Steph Curry and Kevin Durant and like take Devin Booker and take Lillard and whoever, I don't know what team didn't have an All-Star this year. The Lakers, I guess.
God damn.
Put Kuzma in the
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like just do that, and like then I'm like down. Just let Kuzma, Tobias Harris, Steph Curry, and I think Portland's that division, and Damian Lillard play together on one team. Like that'd be amazing.
Fuck.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I got
Jesus.
You. Okay, so that's not gonna happen. Let's move on. Let's do a little bit of college. So a lot of stuff is happening in college right now.
Yeah, tell me about it.
So I'm apparently the resident specialist of college basketball because nobody else watches
college?
it.
I don't know.
What's college?
Our women's basketball team's doing pretty well right now.
So 2 things happened this past week. First of all, Louisville got its title revoked from 2013 for paying players. Which is an NCAA rule violation. We can have a debate on whether that's fair or not, but that's I feel like that's another question.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's against the laws. They did it, so they lose their 2013 title. So that means technically Michigan, who was in the final, was the champion, which is just, you know.
So do they get that title, or is it like?
No, they don't.
They just okay.
Like it's technically it's like it's the title is vacated,
yeah.
And so nobody gets it, which is I think it's just stupid. But anyways,
I think I heard that like they get rid of all of their wins, but they don't get rid of their losses, which I think is really weird.
That's possible.
I heard someone say, I don't know if that's actually true, but I think that would be a weird thing to do.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's very rare though that the NCAA like vacates titles. They vacate wins all the time, but it's very rare that they vacate titles.
Yeah.
So that's like a first. So that's the first thing, and then the second thing is there's an FBI investigation going into like college basketball right now about schools and agents and stuff like that paying players to basically attend different colleges and providing them with benefits, and a lot of the top like 25, 30 teams are obviously involved because they get the best players. And so you have teams like Duke, North Carolina, Texas, Kentucky, Michigan State, USC, Kansas allegedly involved, and players who might be drafted this season like Michigan State's Miles Bridges, Colin Sexton from Alabama, or Wendell Carter Jr. from Duke, who are all, I think, projected. At least Miles Bridges and Colin Sexton are lottery picks, and I think Wendell Carter Jr. might be like a top 20, top 25 pick. So they're all like suspected to have taken money to go to the different colleges. I don't know. I don't really know if you can say like they took money, but it's more like, yeah, kind of. Yeah. Go.
I just heard like the prostitute like story.
Oh, that was a long time ago.
Okay.
That was Louisville too. That's not why they got like.
Okay.
It's that happened too, obviously.
I don't know. Do you want to have the debate about college players like getting paid or not? Like, because I think that's I have such a weird thing with that because like, or actually no, I kind of just think they should be paid. They're making schools so much money, like, and like the best they'll get out of it is like what, a scholarship? Like, I mean, it feels like kind of lopsided, you know, like the benefits like in these situations, you know, like it's not a guarantee that they're going to make it to the pros or anything. Like,
yeah. So about 2% of all college players go to the NBA.
Yeah.
That's 60 players per season. And among those 60 players, you might have 10 or 15 who are from abroad anyways. And so for being D1 athletes, they get obviously full ride scholarships.
Yeah.
But they don't get like money to pay for food or anything like that. And some of those kids come from like very, very disadvantaged backgrounds. And obviously when you're like team coach is paid like $8 million a season.
Yeah.
I think Coach K is at Duke is getting paid $10 million a season.
Jeez, yeah.
You can kind of like see a discrepancy. It's
Yeah.
like, you know, who is generating those $10 million? Like obviously Coach K is a really good coach.
Yeah.
Like we're not taking anything away from him, but like that program works because the student athletes, or what they like to call student athletes, are generating wins and, you know, making Duke look good, basically. And that goes for every team. Like, it's not just Duke, obviously.
Yeah.
Duke is like a prime example just because it's like a legacy team. But I don't know. It's like it's a very like a lot of people saying like getting a scholarship is enough.
Yeah.
And then you have a scene like the UConn title of 2014 where Shabazz Napier just says like, oh, by the way, I didn't eat this week or something like that. It was just like, you know what? Like, because they don't have time to pick up a job because their jobs is their team.
Yeah.
It's like outside of going to school and class and stuff like that. And we can acknowledge that because we're college students. It takes a long time just to get schoolwork done. On top of that, they're limited to 20 hours a week, but add to that travel, and, you know, especially D1 athletes here at UCSD and D2, they play on like Friday night and Saturday.
Yeah.
D1 athletes play Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night. Like, they have tournaments at the beginning of the season, and they still need to get like shit done in class and stuff. So it's definitely like, I mean, they don't have any time outside of that.
I would argue they're basically like employees for the school, like making them money. You know, you'll pay anyone else money to work for the school, yet like the thing that makes you the most money, just you don't see any dividends like financially, and I think it's a little ridiculous. Obviously, it is against the rules, and they should be charged correctly for that. But I don't know. I think there should be a change with that. It sounds like that'll never happen, but
there might not be a change with the NCAA, but I think the NBA is currently talking about changing the one and done rule. Since the G League has been a little bit better integrated with the NBA, with the two-way contracts and stuff like that. So, I haven't really followed that very, very closely, but I think one of the solutions that is being offered is to have people who don't want to go to college and are not, or like presumed not to be ready for the league, to just sign a two-way contract with the NBA J League team. So technically still like entering the draft and being drafted, right? But basically being stashed in the G League instead of being stashed in college, where in the G League they'd be able to get a salary. So the obvious like question with that is that in the end, like, they're not getting education, but at the same time, like, the one and done rule was created for people who go to college for a year. So like, are they really getting education? That's kind of the thing, right? And then so they'd be able to do that and get paid for it and obviously not violate any rules. So I think like they're really considering changing the one and done rule. But the other problem with that is that a lot of these players are 18 and maybe they're just not ready for the NBA. Yeah. And then instead of, you know, having 2 years in college to better their game, they might enter the NBA 18 and wash out at 22. And then that's their entire career is done at 22. Yeah. Because I feel like it's just very, very hard to come back into the NBA after you've been ostracized, basically. Like Brandon Jennings, you know, like he's gone basically. And you have so many players like that. Now you have players playing in China and stuff like that, which is not a bad idea because they're getting paid pretty nicely, like Jimmy Fredette and stuff like that. But
got the Ball brothers playing in Lithuania.
But like, that's the thing, like, you know, if you're 23 and your dream was to play in the NBA for 10 years and you failed because you entered the league at 18, then that's the problem with getting that rule out. And reforming the NCAA doesn't seem like it's gonna happen. So it has to come from like the league. It has to come from the G League. Something has to happen with that. I think they really are working on it. I don't know how much it's gonna help.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's definitely a loaded issue, right? But it's just like we kind of feel for these people because we're in college and we get it. Like, you're doing work and it just, you don't have time to pick up a job. And
Like I couldn't do that. Like
yeah, and it's like the 20 points that you put up against like Michigan State or whatever made your school like $150,000 maybe.
Yeah.
And then if you get to the point where you're like people should get paid, then how much do you pay them? And then that's a whole other issue. Do you have like a fixed salary for every one of them? Because then that brings the same problem, because maybe there's gonna be like bribes and stuff for people to go play at schools. You know?
Yeah. I'm sure there's more to it than I've thought about, but I don't know.
You don't know.
I just don't.
Let's do a little bit of previewing for the end of the season.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see.
I forgot this is an NBA podcast.
Yeah, it is an NBA podcast. All right, let's go through each conference. East Conference has Toronto, Boston, Cleveland, Washington, Indiana, Milwaukee, Philadelphia, Miami making the playoffs right now. And on the bubble, you have Detroit, Charlotte, and then after that, it just drops off. New York, Chicago, Brooklyn, Orlando, and Atlanta. Does the top 8 change? Like, do any of these teams get out? I don't think so. Miami is 30-28, is the 8th seed. And Detroit is 28-29. Does Detroit make the playoff over, like, Miami or Philadelphia? That's basically the question. What do you think?
Wow, Miami's really dropped.
Yeah, they were, like, the 4th seed, like, 2 weeks ago.
God, what's Detroit's last, they've dropped off too. Huh?
Yeah.
Shows how much I follow the Eastern Conference. Or teams that are just not the Lakers. I don't know. What do you think?
I think it stays the same.
Yeah.
I don't think Detroit makes it.
This looks like a pretty, like, wow. I also forgot that Toronto took the number 1.
Yeah. The only thing that I can see happening was just Miami and Detroit like switching, because I definitely think Toronto, Boston, Cleveland, Washington are top 4, and then you have Indiana, Milwaukee, and Philadelphia. Although like Cleveland is 34-23, and Milwaukee is like 32-25, so they're within like 2.5 games of each other.
I could see a lot of shuffling happening. I don't know.
None of those teams are dropping out of the playoffs except maybe Miami.
Yeah.
That's basically, I agree. Let's go to the West.
And I also forgot that Houston is basically the number 1. Or they're tied.
That's close.
They're tied, actually.
That's close. So the West is Houston, Golden State, San Antonio, Minnesota, Oklahoma City, Denver, Portland, New Orleans. New Orleans is at 31-26. And then you have the Clippers, Utah, are basically the 2 teams closing in. They're both at 30 wins, so just 1 less than New Orleans.
Yeah,
and then it drops
Lakers
off.
Are the 11th.
Yeah,
I'd just like to point that out. They're only like 7 games back from the.
Yeah, that's not happening. And then you have Memphis, Sacramento, Dallas, and Phoenix. The amount of team with 18 wins is just freaking crazy.
Yeah.
You have 6 teams with 18 wins, 1 with 19, 1 with 20. That is insane. So the big question, I think the top 7 in the West is kind of the same thing. Houston, Golden State, San Antonio, Minnesota, Oklahoma City, Denver, and Portland are probably in. And then New Orleans, who just lost Boogie, is fighting with the Clippers, and especially Utah, who is on a 11 game winning streak.
Oh God.
Maybe Portland and Denver also slip, but I don't know. It's kind of the same thing as in the West, as in the East. You have 2 top teams very strongly. San Antonio has 35 wins. Minnesota has 36. Oklahoma City has 34. So those 3 teams are within like a win or a win and a half of each other.
How long has Kawhi been out? Like
whole season.
Okay.
He played like 9 games. He's probably not coming back.
Yeah, I heard that. I just can't believe. Well, I shouldn't be this surprised, but San Antonio being the 3 seed right now.
So San Antonio might drop to like 5, but they're obviously making the playoffs. So between Denver, Portland, New Orleans, the Clippers, and Utah, you have 3 playoff teams. Who makes it?
Utah. Portland and Denver.
Yeah, so you just think the Clippers miss it. The Clippers are probably going to be 9. New Orleans is probably going to be 10. And Utah is probably going to slip in.
Uh-huh.
That's how I see it. I think so.
That's pretty
New
much
Orleans
it.
is not making the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I'm hesitant because of the Clippers, just because I still don't really know what that team is.
Yeah.
Because they just literally just blew everything up.
I'm also biased and fuck the Clippers, so.
I definitely think Utah makes it over the Clippers though. If it comes down to those two teams, and then Portland at 7 and Denver at 6. That's an interesting they're tied right now at 32 and 26.
Yeah.
I feel like we kind of know what the playoff teams, give or take 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And then literally from the 3 seed to the 8 seed, it can shuffle around.
Yeah.
If San Antonio is a 7 seed, yeah, I'd be surprised, but they're just 3 games ahead of Portland.
Yeah.
That's nothing.
Oh, that's fun.
That's
okay.
a 3-game win streak. That's literally nothing. And it's the same thing in the East. Philadelphia has 31 wins. Cleveland has 34. That's the difference between the 3 and the 7 seed. So I feel like the playoffs are pretty much set, and then you're just gonna see a lot of shuffling, basically just day to day between different teams, and that's gonna be interesting.
Does the do you think the Spurs make it that far in the playoffs this year? Is that
honestly,
too
it
early
depends
of a
on
question?
who they play in the first round.
Yeah, I guess right now they would play Denver.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Denver can be dangerous. I mean, any of the West teams can be dangerous.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if they make it out of the playoffs, out of the first round, they play either Houston or Golden State, and then it's done. Right? But that's kind of the thing. It's I feel like the only 2 teams that can just challenge Golden State and Houston is Minnesota in a very, very good day, and then Oklahoma City, just because Westbrook and Paul George can just go crazy on you.
That hypothetical Minnesota Oklahoma City series would be pretty fun.
The 4-5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the 4-5 in that?
Washington, Indiana. That's awful.
So
can Washington just drop out of the playoffs? I don't like them anymore.
You don't like John Wall and
John Wall isn't even playing though.
Oh yeah,
I'm kind of sad that Milwaukee would play against Cleveland, because I really want Milwaukee. Okay, so let's just go quickly ideal first round matchups. If we say that the teams that we think are in, so the top 8 right now in the East, and then just switch New Orleans with Utah, right? Mm-hmm. What is your top realistically best matchups?
So that 4-5 with Minnesota and Oklahoma City.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I feel like a Golden State Portland one.
That's interesting.
That'd be fun.
I like it.
I don't know. I still see it maybe going to 5 games at most, but that'd be pretty fun. I
actually like the way it's set up in the West. I have more to say about the East, but a Houston, Utah, I'd be intrigued to see Donovan Mitchell and Ricky Rubio just going against Chris Paul and James Harden, just because of the talent difference, but you still shit, something might happen. Yeah. And you have Rudy Gobert in the middle. And then you just have Denver and San Antonio, and that's an interesting series as well. Mm-hmm. Just because Denver has 3 guards that can just shoot the fuck out of the ball and have Jokic in the middle. I kind of like the way it's set up in the West. I have a lot of comment about the East though.
All right, go.
I want Milwaukee to leapfrog Indiana, and I want a first Indiana Cleveland series. I like to see Boston go against Miami and Philadelphia go against Toronto, and then you'd have Milwaukee against Washington. And I don't care about Milwaukee against Washington. I just want Milwaukee to win. And I think they have a better chance of winning against Washington than against Cleveland. Yeah. That's, yeah. I mean, all of those scenarios are possible. I don't know what to do with Miami. Yeah. They have 3 injured players, and it's just yeah, I don't know what to do with Miami. It's just, I'm not really down for a first round series between Miami and Toronto.
Just give Toronto a bye and then
just give Toronto a bye.
Send them in the next round.
It's like, okay, so let's see. Let's say the top four is Toronto, Boston, Cleveland, and Washington. Like, which team does Miami match up with that like is actually interesting? You think Cleveland?
Oh, yeah.
It's still gonna be a blowout. Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
I'm really only interested in whichever series that Milwaukee and Philadelphia play. To be honest.
Yeah, those two teams are like on the rise. Yeah,
I really know
Indiana
nothing about
too, dude.
I really know nothing about Indiana this year.
Yeah.
I loved that series with Indiana against Cleveland last year. But
okay, well, just have Miami and Washington play. No one cares about that series, right? Just have Milwaukee and Toronto. Philadelphia and Boston. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, Milwaukee and Toronto, Philadelphia and Boston, Cleveland against Indiana, and then Washington against Miami. That's fine with me. Whoever gets out of the Washington against Miami just gets screwed in the next round against Toronto, and we're good to go.
Which of the top four? Well, this is actually an easy one, but which of the top four do you think is most likely to be upset in the first round?
Do you really want to go there?
Let's go.
Yeah. So Washington is probably not making it out of the top of the first round. Now they might. Can you imagine like if they get so they're on like an 8, like the last 10 games they're 8-2 because they lost John Wall and are suddenly better. I can totally imagine John Wall coming back, wanting to prove that he's like still the man, and then losing just because John Wall is like taking every shot and just getting like fried in the playoffs. Because that's what happened last year. Like he was just like he was done at the end of every game. He's just like he was just so tired when they played Boston. Like he was just like you could see he was exhausted at the end of every game, and he's just like that might happen again. This team is just not interesting. Like Brad Beal is a good shooter. Okay, Otto Porter Jr. might like score 16 points, and then they have Machine Gortat and Morris, and it's just like
I was into them a few years ago.
Yeah. But it's weird because in the East you have those two teams, right? You have Washington and Toronto that just keep on bringing up the same guys.
Yeah.
And like Toronto is like intriguing because they change their style of play and stuff like that. Well, Washington's coach is still Scott Brooks. And Scott Brooks was not able to do anything with Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant. Like, what do you think he's going to do with John Wall and Brad Beal? Like, seriously. Like, I don't understand. I don't think he's a good coach, and I don't think they play, like, an interesting, like...
Who was their coach before? Was it Randy Whitman?
Whitman, yeah.
Yeah. What a...
Yeah, Washington has not been... Yeah, I don't know.
I'd be really happy for them if they were to be a contender one year or they made it to the finals or whatever, but it just seems like they're always...
their team is not interesting.
I don't know. I'll root for them.
Yeah?
You know, I'll root for them over Cleveland. I think Cleveland's fascinating this year because of like their shuffle.
Just because there's so many new players, I kind of want to see like what happens in the playoff. Like I'm actually like intrigued because it's like last year it was just like Boston was the number 1 seed. You were just like, oh, well, Cleveland's still gonna win. You just saw it. They flipped the switch, and you were like, they swept the first 2 rounds. You're just like, oh god, this again. Now it's like they might sweep the first 2 rounds, but at least the games are gonna be interesting because you're gonna see like, oh, how is like Clarkson gonna do in the playoffs?
Yeah.
And how is like Rodney Hood? Is Rodney Hood gonna go through like a like they lost yesterday against Washington, and it was like one of those games where LeBron just like took over in the fourth quarter, and it just wasn't enough because some of the guys had the off night shooting, and you're like, this might happen in the playoffs because they don't have like a Kyrie to just balance out LeBron anymore. They just have players that might, you know, they're just not as good as Kyrie was.
Is Kevin Love close to coming back, or is he back already?
Oh right, yeah. So they still have Kevin Love. I don't know about that.
He was
out for 8 weeks, so he's probably been out for like maybe a little bit less than a month now.
Oh, okay.
So he's probably not close. He'll be back before the playoffs, but
kind of feels like all those injuries happened like ages ago, but I guess it's only been a few weeks.
Yeah.
So
just it's been weird basketball for the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
With all the trades and stuff. Yeah. Let's quickly go over next week's games. We each need to do our picks. Because we've been slacking.
Yeah.
T-Wolves at Rockets. Do you have it pulled up? You know.
I don't.
I'm gonna read through them then. Okay.
Sure.
T-Wolves at Rockets. That's tonight.
I go Rockets -15.
You go Rockets -15. Okay. It's at Rockets, so I guess I'll do that too. Actually, no. Jimmy Butler's gonna be rested, dude. It's happening. T-Wolves -15 for me.
Because of
Mavericks, Lakers.
Lakers.
You pick the Lakers.
Yeah.
Minus 15, plus 15.
Minus 15.
I'll pick the Lakers too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Finally, I'm turning this podcast around.
I'm really mad because the T-Wolves played the Bulls last like 2 weeks ago when we first last did, and I picked the T-Wolves and the Bulls won. I was just so mad at myself. Thunder Warriors. That's an interesting game because the Thunder have won twice against the Warriors this season. Ooh.
I will.
Where
is it?
It's in Golden State.
I'll go Warriors. Minus
15.
Yeah. It's a fun one. You know, we should all watch a game together sometime. Like one of our picks, and then
we should. I don't know. I never want to take the Thunder, but
every time I don't pick the Thunder, they win. So
yeah, I'm just gonna pick the Warriors too. Just home crowd advantage.
This is for you, Miguel.
Spurs, Cavs.
Cavs.
It's in Cleveland. I'm picking the Cavs. I'm picking the Cavs minus 15.
I'll go Cavs.
Because the Spurs are like in a weird spot right now. Minus 15, plus 15.
Minus, yeah.
Sixers, Wizards.
I'll go Sixers. That sounds fun.
Minus, I'm assuming.
Yeah. I don't think I can ever go plus for anyone ever in good conscience.
I'll pick. I don't know, man. I'll do the same.
Let's just all do this in 2K and then see what happens.
Let's simulate the season. Warriors, Knicks.
Warriors.
Warriors plus 15, right?
Yeah.
Me too. T-Wolves, Kings. T-Wolves plus 15.
Yeah.
Me too. Easy. Wizards, Bucks. That's an interesting game.
Oh, that's tough. Yeah.
It's in Milwaukee.
How is Milwaukee doing right now exactly?
Well, they just
I heard something about them.
They just got Jabari Parker back.
Is he?
I don't know what that means for them.
Yeah.
But, I'm picking the Bucks minus 15.
Well,
but the Wizards are on a roll, so I don't know.
I'll pick the Wizards to.
You pick the Wizards. Minus 15.
So we don't all pick the same ones.
Clippers and Nuggets.
That's
Nuggets for me.
Yeah, probably Nuggets.
I'm the OG Nuggets supporter on this podcast.
Yeah, I like to make fun of the Nuggets.
Warriors, Wizards. That one is easy. Warriors. Plus?
Minus.
I'm going to take them plus.
Oh.
Rockets, Clippers. What's Rockets?
Rockets.
Plus, minus?
Minus.
I think I'm going to go minus 2 just because it's in LA. And then 2 more. Sixers, Cavs. Cleveland.
Oh, damn it. I was about to pick the Sixers.
I'm picking the Sixers. Let's go.
Yeah, let's get Sixers. Let's do it.
All right. And then last one for the day.
I'm so glad we're not putting money on this right now.
Well, if we were putting money, you'd be far, far behind anyways. T-Wolves and Blazers is the last game in Portland next Thursday night.
I'll go Blazers.
Ooh.
Let's do that.
Interesting. I'm a homer, so I'm going to take the T-Wolves. And by homer, negative 15, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And by homer, I mean Jimmy Butler plays for that team, so I'm picking them. All right. By the way, the score right now, Miguel and Richard are tied at 146 for the season. For second. In third place, we have our dear Alex at 116,
wow.
Which is a whooping 30 points less.
I mean, okay, I missed 2 weeks. You know, that's at least 5.
Whose fault is that?
I mean, one of them was like winter break.
And yours truly is ahead at 161.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I have a 15-point advantage on Miguel and Richard.
Holy crap!
Wait,
how many games a week are there that we?
About anywhere between 10 and like 15 games.
I'd have to, like 4 or 5 weeks. I'd have to win straight.
Yeah, and like last week I did really, really well.
Wait, how did I do? That does not look good from here.
6 points.
Yeah.
I had 13. I had double your points last week.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I know.
I could do it.
It's the Clippers, and then the T-Wolves like are screwing you over every time. Also, because you're just picking the Lakers every time.
Yeah,
and, you know.
I mean, hey, that makes me happy. You know,
that the Lakers lose.
No, but
that you're picking the Lakers and that you're losing.
That there's hope for the Lakers.
All right. We'll be back next week, hopefully with a fuller cast, and we'll be able to discuss whatever happens this week. It's kind of like the first real time we'll see like the new teams after the All-Star break.
Yeah.
Because a lot of trades happen, but how much can you actually like prepare once the All-Star game is up and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we'll be back next week.
Yeah, Richard, don't go to Union Station on the middle of the day on Friday. Miguel, don't do whatever you're doing right now. So I don't know. I think he's probably interviewing.
Are you good? Okay. Shout out to Hojun in the multimedia department for producing, and we will see you.
Go Lakers.